Good morning and welcome to the Denton Insider, where we are here to advocate, educate, and collaborate on behalf of the Denton business community. My name is Randy Skinner. I am one of your hosts here on the Denton Insider. I sit on the Chamber Board of Directors, and as a member, I represent my business, RS Consulting. And with me is your other host, Heather.
Hello. I'm Heather Gregory. I am the director over here at Stoke, which is Denton's co-working space. We are a member of the chamber, and we are also have a partnership with the city of Denton, the economic development department. So it's especially exciting. The guest that we have today is the director of economic development, Jessica Rogers, who is going to be talking to us a little bit later about what they do and what they're working on, and kind of what's happening in economic development in Denton right now. So we're really excited about that. Before we get to that, Randy, do you have the scoop for us?
I do. Okay. So if you remember last week, I told you that ribbon cuttings were probably coming
Yes.
back, and they are back. So the first part of October, we had our first ribbon cutting with 29 acres. So definitely, even though you missed the ribbon cutting, you can still give them a shout out, stop by, check out their digs. And upcoming, we have a grand opening, which is not a ribbon cutting, but the historical Fairhaven Denton Assisted Living Community is having a grand opening at the end of this month on October 29th from 5 to 7 p.m. So definitely head over to the chamber calendar, denton-chamber.org, click over on events, and you can hear more about each of those events, but also keep you in the know as we have more ribbon cuttings added. So that is your chamber scoop for this week.
That's awesome. So if you're a business and you want to have a ribbon cutting or a grand opening, or like, how would what's the process? You have to be a member, but then do you just submit your event?
Yes. So I am so glad you asked that question, Heather. So ribbon cuttings are definitely part of a celebration when we have new members come on. So it's part of your membership package, one of the tangible things that you receive. But then the cool thing is that you can even have these type of celebrations for milestones like opening up a new location or, having some other milestone. So there's lots of reasons to celebrate. So if you are a member and you have some type of milestone like that, or if you're not a member and you want to learn more about it and learn more about investing in the small business community here in Denton and the business community as a whole, you could join up. And so head over to the chamber, denton-chamber.org. You can look at the membership tag. It'll tell you all about that. And then if you have questions, definitely you can contact them directly. Contact the staff there, and Shayna and Pam and Erica and all of them will help get you taken care of. So I'm really excited to see how folks are being socially distanced and safe as they're participating in these ribbon cuttings. So, we will look forward to all the celebrations we have coming up over the next month.
Cool. Awesome. It seems like outside that all the ribbon cuttings, most of them I've seen have been.
Yeah.
So that's safe, right?
Definitely. Yeah. I think there's ways that everybody can still make sure that they get to welcome a new business, but, let's wear our masks and, not shake hands. I'm let's not bring back shaking hands at all. Like, can we just do that? I don't know if anybody else is on board, but I'm really good with it. Like air high fives, like elbow taps, like shaking hands and blowing out candles on birthday cakes should both just be, let's just stick to private cupcakes from now on. Like, I feel like there's lots of opportunities to expand upon this as we move forward. Lots of learning opportunities.
Some of the things we hope will stick around post.
Exactly. Maybe we need to have a show about that. Like, everybody submit in all of their suggestions of what we should keep post COVID. So yeah.
I have a couple. I'm not sure that this is the place to mention it, but I do have a couple.
Okay. Send them over to me. I'll start a Google Drive list.
There you go. So today, as I mentioned, we get to talk to Jessica Rogers, who is the Director of Economic Development. So Jessica, thank you for being here with us today.
Hi guys, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
I'm sure it's super easy to fit into your schedule. There's nothing happening in the city right now.
Yeah, 2020 has been very calm. No, this has been a crazy busy year on top of all new sorts of economic development activities and having to become an expert and new areas and new ways to support Denton businesses. So I'm happy to be here and to get to share that information with you guys. So.
Yeah. So for those that maybe don't know or don't think about it, what is economic development? Like, what does your department do?
So that's a great question because we get asked that question all the time. What is economic development? And everyone, I think, has in their mind what they think our office does, because there's some activities that we do that are very public and very visible, but the majority of our work is actually behind the scenes. So I'll give you kind of the textbook definition of what we do. And my office is charged with promoting shared prosperity for all residents in Denton by creating and advocating for positive economic growth. So that's sort of the textbooky definition of what my office does. On a day-to-day basis, what that means is we're doing activities that are enhancing quality of life, encouraging economic growth, encouraging education and training and workforce development, in a way that creates an ecosystem that allows businesses and people to succeed. And like any ecosystem, if you remember back in biology class or something, that there are different pieces that make an ecosystem successful. And our office really wants to make sure that no matter where you are, from a startup to, maybe you're later in the life cycle of a business, or maybe you're a new resident to Denton looking for a job, or a new graduate, we want to make sure that there's a pathway to success for you in Denton. And I think that that's sort of the simplest way to put it, is that wherever you are in that ecosystem, we're here to help you find a way to be successful.
Mm-hmm. Which kind of ties back into, as I mentioned, the partnership that the city has with Operating Stoke, that the partnership that the city has with Main Street Association and the Chamber of Commerce, right? It's sort of, those are some of the things that are like tangible kind of those small business ways that your department is involved that maybe people have actually no idea about.
Yeah, we work so closely with so many organizations and groups throughout the community to try and understand kind of what would help them be successful. So for small businesses, yes, we're engaged with the Denton Chamber of Commerce. So we partner with the Chamber of Commerce on so many activities. We consider the Chamber's Office of Economic Development as an extension of our office. We work together daily, if not hourly. So shout out to Erica for responding to all of my texts at all hours of the day and night when I need something, and to Charlie, who's there on as the interim VP as well, answering all of our questions and helping us in our economic development efforts. But we also work with Denton Main Street Association, and they have been incredibly helpful throughout the pandemic. We started a new partnership with them just as the pandemic hit. So I can't say enough to the Main Street Association and how available they've been in communicating what our local businesses are experiencing. And then we also, of course, support Stoke, our co-working space, and that tech sector and remote workers. And perhaps Heather can help guide us on all of the technology that we've all had to implement in our daily lives, because they have a whole bunch of people that were probably doing it before the rest of us had to, but all becoming remote workers and working from home. But seeing that also as an important piece of our community and recognizing that there is a growing tech sector and there is a growing draw of remote workers and freelancers that could work anywhere, and they choose to work here in Denton, and making sure that they have a space to be successful. As much as I love working from home, some days I definitely need to get out. And so having a space like Stoke where you could go and work and engage and have a community is really important. And then really just focusing on that general small business need. And I tell people all the time is our office is here. There's no question too big or too small. And if we don't know the answer, we probably know who to get you in touch with. We work with TWU, NCTC, UNT, the Small Business Development Center. The Small Business Administration has a regional office here in Dallas, the Regional Economic Development Administration office. Even our library has great business resources that people don't know about. And so if you need anything related to your business, just give us a call, and we'll help you find the person or the place that you need to be. That's what we're here for.
So you talk, first of all, that's awesome. Thank you for that. I think it's a good reminder, right, that we have all of these resources. But one of the things that I wanted to ask you about is, with the pandemic, obviously things look different and they're continuing to look a little bit different. So will you share with us just kind of what that experience has been like, and then what we can expect, right, moving forward? Like what does that look like from y'all's perspective?
Sure. I think that we could all probably write a novel about our experiences over the past 7 months.
Right.
And what that's been like and how hard it has been. At the onset of the pandemic, we really didn't know what to expect. And about a month in, everyone started forecasting what they thought the future would look like. And as it turned out, we were all wrong. And it's the way forecasting works, right? Is that we were all wrong. And yeah, we saw a lot of impacts locally. We have a lot of industries that were in that high impact area. Education severely impacted, and education may not look like it ever did before after this. And the hospitality industry, the tourism industry, food service, entertainment, art, culture, all of those things that make Denton really special were in those high impact sectors. And so, like many communities with that profile, we saw a huge jump in unemployment early on in the pandemic. And that led to a lot of really tough conversations and really challenging weeks, days, months, you name it, for businesses in our community and our office, working 24/7. I apologize to anyone who got the 3 a.m. emails from me, but working 24/7 to try and find resources, grants, loan programs, helping with PPPs and the EIDL applications, and getting people in touch with business consultants or accountants if they were small businesses. We worked with the United Way to get business advisors available for businesses if they didn't have access to someone, but really just doing everything we could to assemble resources and get that information out as fast as possible. We do maintain a resource list on the city's website. So if you go to cityofdenton.com, up at the top, it has a COVID resources button, and you can click on that and get to the business resource page. And we update that as often as we can with new information. And we'll continue to update that throughout this. So we also push everything out through social media. But I think over the last few months, what we've seen is a return to the new normal. And that is people adjusting their daily lives and their activities to start to resume those economic activities. So making sure that when we're going to restaurants, either ordering takeout or staying socially distanced, making sure you're wearing your mask, protecting you and your family and friends, and as much as you can, but trying to get back to what we know as normal. And I would say with that, what I would encourage everyone to do is, as safely as possible, that you can support local businesses. They need you now more than ever. They just, it's been a struggle, and it's been a lot of really difficult times. And I'm so happy that we've had as much success and longevity with our businesses as we have. But if we don't continue to support our local businesses, they may not be here in the future. And so support them in whatever way you can. If you don't feel safe going to them, a lot of them have curbside pickup. I know the Chamber, I think, and Main Street have information about different business services that are available if they have curbside or if they've switched to online sales or delivery. Look into those resources, or just share your experience helping promote those local businesses. If you've had a great experience, say something on social media, let people know, tell your friends if you're on the phone with someone, and let them know how great of an experience that you had at a Denton business. And that's really the best thing we can do right now, is just encourage what activity we can as safely as possible.
I think that's a good reminder, right? That when you go to the local business and you have that great experience, to post it on your Facebook or send an email to your friends or a text and let folks know, because I think as everybody's starting to get back out, right? Like that's kind of a little validation and encouragement that we are being safe here in Denton and folks are, going that extra mile to keep their customers safe. So I love that. I'm going to start doing that more. I'm committing to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so important, I think, to help businesses and let them know, that we see them and we hear them in this environment, and those who've been impacted. Even while you're there at the business, simply just letting them know that you appreciate that the steps that they're taking to protect the public and stay open, I think is great. So just continue to shop local as much as possible.
So speaking of shopping locally, are there, one of the things that my kind of entrepreneur brain goes to is like, what's gonna come from this? Like what new things might happen? So do you know, like, what new businesses have opened, or maybe even others that are planning to open? Do you know any of that?
I do know some new businesses that have opened in this, and I'm happy to share those. I will also say, if you do have local favorites that maybe they had to shift online to, I know there were big efforts by some members, some Stoke members and some Chamber members to help businesses convert to online sales. And so that's great. A lot of online retail shifts happening, which is wonderful for those that could make that. But we have had a number of new businesses continue in their process. I'm going to pull up my list so that I don't get it wrong. But we've had some new downtown businesses open. We have a new cookie crave on Locust Street, Red's Yard, which took the place of formerly Backyard on Bell's space, has a great outdoor eating environment. And gosh, we've been blessed with some great fall weather. So getting outdoors and enjoying some great food in the outdoors socially distant space. We've had some new medical offices open. We've also seen some new hotels continue under construction. Will be opening soon, and then some new restaurants. I think we have a Starwood Cafe maybe heading towards the Razor Ranch area. I'm not sure where they're at now, but really just a lot of businesses continuing. I think in anticipation of things going back to normal or that economic environment improving a little bit. So we're really excited about those things. I will add that if there's ever something that someone wants in Denton, a business that you have seen somewhere else and you want it here in Denton, you can let our office know. We actually do proactive outreach to retail, office space, office users, other types of businesses, restaurants that you're like, hey, we really want that office, or we really want that kind of business to be here. We do that. So let us know. You're not doing anything that we don't ask for, so we can reach out to them and let them know. But a key other piece of what we're seeing is our industrial development. And so we did not see the slowdown that was sort of predicted in our industrial development. We've had many warehouse spaces and industrial spaces continue on the path of growth. And what that means is more jobs coming to Denton, which is so important in helping our economic environment and providing those pathways for people that we were talking about before. But in all, we'll have somewhere north of 5 million square feet of industrial space soon on the ground in Denton. So we are here to compete and attract businesses and create jobs that are meaningful for our community.
That's great. That's great.
So obvious. Oh, go ahead, Heather.
No, you go.
Virtual problems. You go.
Well, I was just
I'll go.
Who's gonna go?
You're going. You're going.
Kind of going from the idea of like kind of the small businesses and, you know, the ones that are a little bit more central, and then thinking about what's maybe happening Razor Ranch and industrial, brings my mind kind of to the strategic plan. So can you talk a little bit, because I know that that's been a big thing that you worked on and that I've been tuned into. So can you just talk about where that's at, the strategic plan, what's in it, you know, highlights and where the city's at in that process?
Sure. So it's hard to believe, but it's actually been almost a year that we've been working on creating an updated comprehensive economic development strategic plan for the city. And with that, I would say that it's also equally hard to believe that it's been about 17 years since the city went through this comprehensive process. So if you've been around Denton for a long time, you know that in 17 years, a lot has changed. Right. I've been in Denton about 6 years now, and I can tell you that in 6 years, a lot has changed. And so the time was right to really take stock of what we have here and what do we see as the future of Denton for an economic development perspective. And so we've been working with TIP Strategies out of the Austin area. So they're a great consulting firm, and they've been leading us through this process. And we have held stakeholder meetings and focus groups and held public forums, socially distanced and digitally public forums as much as we could throughout this process. But we have a draft plan, and that draft plan is now working its way through the city approval processes. So we are presenting to the city council probably later, mid to late October. We did a first work session with the city council back in August. And so we have gone back and took some comments and did some additional research, and we're going to be bringing that back in later in August to the city council to do a little bit more in-depth discussion on some deep dives in some certain areas of the plan. But at its core, the plan focuses on 3 primary goals. And the first is accelerate recovery. And that goes back to what we were talking about with the pandemic. And with that in mind, we are doing everything that we can to stabilize and make sure that businesses can survive this, that they can come out of this even thriving, and that locally we're keeping track of who's being impacted, how are they being impacted, and what resources are out there to mitigate that. And then the second goal that we're focusing on is fostering growth. And that probably would have been our first goal if our world hadn't been a little bit changed in 2020. But growth is coming, growth is happening. It's kind of a freight train headed this direction. And all of the forecasting that I talked about being wrong, that kind of talked about growth slowing, we're not really seeing that. People are continuing to relocate during this pandemic. And the reason being is that the Metroplex has fared better than other metropolitan areas. Even in the state of Texas, the Dallas Metroplex is doing fairly well, given the circumstances. And so people are continuing to move here. So we're staring at this growth coming our direction. And so what can we do from an economic development perspective to encourage growth to occur in a way that's consistent with the values of our community? And so it's moving away from growth's sake to being smart about the growth and making sure that the businesses that we're attracting or the workforce that we're attracting contribute positively to that ecosystem that we've talked about. And then lastly is strengthening community inclusion. And that is, there are a lot of sectors of our economy that get left out of traditional economic development activities. And we want to make a conscious effort to ensure that those businesses or those individuals who are in those demographics continue to get the support that they need to be successful in Denton. Economic development is the most successful when everyone is engaged and involved in the process, so that everyone's voice is heard and that the services that we're providing meet the needs of all businesses. And so that's one of the key issues that we're working on, is making sure that every sector of our economy, that every group, every sort of business size, shape, you name it, gets support how they need it.
Knowing the strategic plan, it's great to hear you. I don't know that I've heard you summarize it, because I hear I've listened to the consultant talk about the plan, but you live here and you work here, and so it's great to hear you talk about it. One of the things that I love about the plan is the kind of refocusing and narrowing in on the growth areas, which are connectivity, creativity, sustainability, and competitiveness. And it's, you hear a lot, there's a lot of pride in Denton, right? You kind of take Texas pride and then you multiply it by Denton pride, and we're just so, it's a lot. But I think that a lot of that comes back to those creative roots, and those, we have a really interesting and unique culture, and the sustainability component too. So I think it's really exciting knowing that that this plan really takes that into account. And I will say, going back to the 17 years ago, that the last time the plan happened, because people likely don't know, the focus of that was primarily on like growing downtown, right? It was like, let's get people downtown. Let's have Main Street Association. Let's do these things that support. And so, again, people might not know that was the economic development initiative, but that's happened. And so knowing that in 17 years from now, what could be done and executed because of this plan it's really exciting.
Yeah, I think that so many times, we kind of hear the term strategic plan, and maybe in our careers and maybe in different industries, it's different, but people kind of think about going through an exercise and then it's something that kind of sits on a shelf, or it's something that's aspirational, but it's not actionable. And we've made a really conscious effort during this process to say, we want actionable strategies. We want clear steps that our office can take, or we can take in conjunction with our partners, and say, this is the vision that we have and the things that we want to see happen, so that hopefully not 17 years from now, hopefully sooner than that. But that at some point in the future, we can look back and say, we did that. We said we were going to do it, and we were able to do it. And we've been able to see that vision become our reality in Denton. And you're right, 17 years ago, downtown was the vision. And now you go downtown and you see a really thriving entertainment and cultural district, and there's art and there's music, hopefully returning very soon safely to our downtown. But it's something that, when we say that we want to encourage growth in these areas, or we want to influence growth in these areas, if it's somewhere where growth is already occurring, that's what we're talking about, is we want to see it become a reality. And we just want to make sure that it aligns with our vision and our community values. So yes, that's the strategic growth areas. We think we've hit on some of the key things, sustainability and creativity being the two kind of values underscoring everything. We know that those are important to Denton. We know those are important to residents and businesses here. And that culture is something that you can't manufacture it. It exists here because because the businesses and because the people here create it, not because of some plan that we're working through. It's all of us together. So,
yeah.
So thinking about.
I was gonna say, I could talk about the strategic plan for so long, so you have to cut me off.
Same.
All right, y'all are cut off. No, but it kind of, so thinking about growth and the strategic plan, obviously part of that is bringing in new businesses. And we can't really talk economic development without at least touching on incentives and the incentive program. So, will you just kind of share with us like what that looks like what how that might play out from the growth initiative from the strategic plan, and then kind of also about that return, right? Because we give these incentives for businesses, but then there is a benefit that we get, there is a return on that. And so it's not just, one-sided, I guess.
Sure. I would say that incentives are probably, again, the most well-known thing that we do in economic development. And it's a tool in a toolbox. We do so many things to encourage businesses to come here. And incentives are just one of the things that we might do to encourage a business to relocate or expand in Denton. With that, I would say that we have a very strict policy that we've adopted, the city council has adopted, that really is my rule book that says, here are the circumstances under which we would consider using incentives, and it's tied to key priorities. And so it might be a business coming in that's going to be a heavy electric user. And so we want to encourage that because the cost to serve a heavy electric user is less, and it might reduce the burden on some of our residential users by bringing in some of those larger users. Or it may be on a huge capital investment that's being made that can help balance the tax base, so it's not all on the burden of residences, but it's shared by businesses. And so we have that policy in place, and with that, our office sort of guides businesses that choose Denton through that process. And in Denton, we have a commitment to transparency. And so all of our incentives are very transparent. We're very open about how we come up with incentive packages. We're very open about the businesses that we're working with. You can watch the Economic Development Partnership Board as they discuss those. You can watch City Council as the City Council discusses those. And you can also voice your opinion and have your voice heard in those processes because they are done openly and transparently. So you can engage with the City Council during those conversations. And then when we get to the point of having an incentive in place, we does have a return back to the city. So our office every year actually does a return on investment or a net revenue report where we look at what was the public investment that was made in an incentive and what has the return back been to the community in terms of tax dollars. Now there's other investments that get made, and of course their involvement with other groups is significant. But in terms of the city of Denton, just to give you a number, the city's invested about $16.5 million in city tax dollars and incentives since 1999. Total, cumulative, 16.5 million. Since then, $51.4 million in tax revenue has come back to the city from those projects. And those projects alone have generated 7,200 jobs for the city. And so that's just the city. Now, we all know that that's not the only agency and not the only level of government that benefits from those investments. So at the same time, Denton County has benefited, has gained about $5.9 million. The school district about $21 million, and DCTA about $11 million over that same time period. So the incentives do generate a return, and that return is incredibly important to us. So we do cost benefit analysis, and we look at what the value of our investment is going to be back to the community, and that's very important to us. That's a lot on incentives.
No, thank you. So I think that's so important. Yeah. And helpful. And I love what you said too. It's like, that's the most common thing, right? That we think of, but it's just one tool in your entire toolkit. So I think that's a good reminder, right? That there's a lot going on. And so if folks did want to learn more about this or reach out to y'all, where could you point them in the right direction?
Sure. So there's two places I would say to go. The first is go to dentonedp.com. So the Economic Development Partnership maintains sort of our external facing website. This would be the website that would give businesses or anyone wanting to come into Denton access to our economic development information. That includes data, reports, get you in touch with our office if there's some expertise that you need or some analysis that you might need for your business. Our office can assist with that. And so the dentonedp.com is a great place to go for that. And then if you're just interested in sort of the city administration of economic development, just go to cityofdenton.com and click on business, and you can get access to the economic development site or development services if you needed permitting or CO information. And our contact information is on both, and we can help you navigate that process. But I would just say, no matter what your question or need is, just reach out to us or the chamber, and we will get you in touch with whoever or what industry or what agency you need to get in touch with. We can help with that.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Jessica, for coming on and just giving us kind of a quick snapshot, a lowdown. And so definitely we'll encourage folks to head over and to your website, reach out to you. So again, thank you.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yes.
I'm really excited.
Heather, do you have, I'm going to knock it back over to you. So what do we have coming up in the next few weeks that folks can look forward to?
Oh, that is a great question. So we are going to get to talk to, in October and into November, we're going to get to talk to Marianne O'Haddop, who is the head of the TWU Center.
The Jane Nelson Center for Leadership, right?
The Jane Nelson Center for Leadership. Sorry, I work primarily with with the Center for Women Entrepreneurs, but she's going to come and talk to us about that. We also are going to have a conversation with the mayoral candidates for the people that are running for mayor for Denton, which the election is happening in November. So we're going to get to talk to them and hear them cast their vision for our city.
Perfect. Well, lots to look forward to. So I will plan on seeing you next week for the Denton Insider.
See you next week. Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. We want to thank our partners and sponsors who made this show possible. Now stick around for a word from all of us here at Discover Denton.
Hey everybody, if you haven't checked it out yet, DentonRadio.com has soft launched a new website and brand. We'd love for you to go and check out the new look, but we also want to walk you through the new website and all the features you can see. So the main thing that we're most excited about is we have this video feed right at the top of the page that's a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week video feed of different Denton performances. Now these are past recordings that we've done here at Denton Radio. We also have some awesome recordings coming at us from Tiny Couch Productions. Thank you, Tiny Couch. If you haven't checked out Tiny Couch, you've got to go see those guys. So 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week feed, and what we're dedicated to as an organization is going forward, we're going to be trying to be inside different Denton venues as much as possible. So we're going to be going to Dan's and Rubber Gloves and Andy's and LSA and recording the shows while they're happening and putting them right here. So 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you're going to have a true window into the Denton music scene. So it's going to be really, really cool. Now just beneath that, we have the This Week in Denton section. And what you can do is scroll through and see all the shows that are happening in Denton that week. And then you can listen to the different songs from the different artists that are playing those shows. And then when you click the green button underneath it, it's going to take you right to DiscoverDenton.com's calendar page for that show. So you're going to get all the info on where, what, who, how, all that good stuff. And we'll be changing this out every single week. So you're going to have a full section of all the shows that are happening and everybody that's playing where you can go listen to them and check it out. We also still have our podcasts on this page. Everything that we were doing before is still here, but all these new fun features are coming at you. More features as well to come as we get further and further into this soft launch. And whenever we can start booking shows again and everybody's kind of back to normal, we're going to have a really awesome big launch party and we'll get the final product out there. And we're super, super excited about it. So thank you guys so much for checking it out. Go see it all at DentonRadio.com.